Howdy y'all, welcome to another episode of Modded Minecraft. The Ender Dragon's dead. Killed it. Saw kind of a quick little fast forwardy bit of him going down. Got a little glitched. If you could see like his health bar that was in there was kind of messed up. When it first started, it looked okay, and then he kind of got out of range, and when he came back in range, it never kind of reappeared. So I never really knew how close he was to dead until he was actually dead. So always some little minor glitches with modded. It's kind of weird. But he's dead, and that allowed me to start working on the Corporea Network for Betania, because we needed these things called Ender Air Bottles. But kind of an update, our Blood Magic altar over there, see it way off there in the distance, is kicking away. I've just been letting it run. This has actually been a couple of real life days since I guess that last episode, and I'm just letting this thing run even when I'm not on, because I have to get up quite a bit and move around. I can't sit in one spot like longer than 30 minutes or so. It's kind of pushing it. So I've been moving around, and it's up over 30 million now. I'm gonna think it's gonna top out with the runes of the orb that kind of up its capacity. I'm gonna guess it's gonna settle around 35 million life points. So we have a ton of life points, and I have been working on kind of getting everything ready to do our blood armor also. We need the blood armor to go into the Project Omega, which is the kind of the new stuff that he's got out there. I'm going to go for probably the Earth set, just because it seems to make more sense for me, to have the Earth armor. If you've not looked that up, go to the Blood Magic website and forum site and look up Project Omega. It looks pretty cool. It'll be another kind of major ritual sort of thing. But let's talk about the Corporea Network. You can see we have a couple of items, immediately visible right here. What is... Oh, night vision. Hold on, let me shut that off. That one? There we go. We don't need that in here. So if we go over and we get the Lexica Botanica out, and we go in, you can see that, let's go all the way back. There was a new thing, kind of Ender artifacts put in, and it adds in these Corporea crystal cube funnels, which I probably won't be using. I don't right now see a need for like the interceptor or that, but what you have is kind of Botania's way of doing a little sorting network, and it's really actually pretty cool. If he's smart, he's gonna work on this functionality and add some stuff to it. But you can see it adds in these new sparks. Did I not have it on here? Here we go. This Corporea sparks. This is actually a master Corporea spark, and this is just like a regular Corporea spark. You can kind of tell the difference. That one's kind of pinkish, and this one's kind of purplish. But if we go downstairs and look, you'll see we have one of the regular Corporea sparks on each of our chests. So what that does is this Corporea spark kind of links it all these into a network. Let me get my wandage. So if we click on one, let me see if I can. You can kind of see how they're interconnected. See how it kind of clicks, and if you go upstairs, you can kind of see the same thing. If you click on these, you can see what it's clicked or what it's linked to. You can see it's all linked. Now, each network needs to have one Corporea spark. Now you can color these and change, so you can have like different networks. The range is not that great, but I mean, if you link them together, you could chain it, a network out quite far, but you can't have two master Corporea sparks that are the same color. Like this one is white. If I wanted to change this network, I could color this with the petal powder or the flower powder, that you get from grinding up the mystical flowers. And then in each of the corporeal sparks, you'd also have to color with that color, and they'd all be on the same network. The book states kind of that you don't want two of these close together, that it can cause bad things. So one corporea spark, master corporea spark, is this one. Don't put that on any inventory that you want to be able to pull anything out of or get a count out of what's in there. That's kind of why I put it on the index here, is there's no inventory in this. And like if I were to put it downstairs on any one of these chests, whatever's in that chest I wouldn't have access to through the indexer. So we want to make sure, that's why I just put it on, like I said, on the index. There's no inventory there. The indexer here is kind of like your interface to the network down below. You can see as I get closer to it how it pops out those little red kind of energy bursts there. That tells you you're within range for it to take information from you. And currently, and I hope he changes this to some sort of GUI interface to, where you can click on it and actually visually see and request. That would be really neat. But right now, it's you have to type it all out. So if you want to, let's say, count what's in your network, let's say iron ingots, and you do have to, you can't just say iron, you have to tell it specifically what you want, which is iron ingots. Now this is the only downside of this, is this counting thing, or typing thing. So like right now it tells me that there are 4,314 in the network. Now if I wanted to take one, I could just, if I just wanted one, I could just type iron ingot, and it's going to give me one. And right down here we just have a hopper I could drop stuff into, and it goes back in. And let's say if I want 12, you just type the number and then what you want, and you get those. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I mean, you can get exactly what you want. Now again, it would be neat if you could just come up here and click on this and get like a visualization, some sort of image that shows you what's in each, or what's in the network, and let you pull it out, sort of like AE or logistics pipes, or any of those types of networking tools like that. But that's your index, so that's pretty cool. I think you can have more than one of these, but you would, if like you wanted to put this in a different spot, you would want to put just another regular spark. There can only be one master spark, so anything else would be just a normal spark. Now over here we have the crystal cube, the corporea crystal cube, and this is kind of like your AE item monitors, where you could set it to a certain item and then pull it out. This does the same thing. If I come up here, I'm standing on an elevator. If I come up here and then shift and then right click, it pulls them all out. Shoot, and you can't put them back in there. But like if I look at it now, it's locked on here. Even if you log off and log back in, this is set to whatever you click on this item. So like if I clicked another item on there, then would be set to that. So be careful. If you want to keep that locked to something, don't click it with another item. So that's back in there, and so now we can see that it's just one. And I think if it's, was it just one? Gives me one. Yeah. If you just left click it once, it gives you one. If you shift and then click it, it gives you a stack, or in my case, since I don't have a stack in there, it just gives me all of it. And then it just updates. Now, the downside to the sparks, for the indexer, the index, to be able to pull something out, it needs to have the ability to pull it out from the top. So that's why I'm using chest and not, say, like barrels. It will index what's in here, but you can't pull it out because it needs to pull it out from the top. Barrels, I believe, pull out from the bottom. But if you put a barrel, I don't have one on the network, but let's say I wanted to put this zinc barrel into the network. I'd put a spark on it. I could come up here and see how much is in here, but I wouldn't be able to pull it out. It would just tell me 0, 0. But I could hook it up to one of the crystal cubes and be able to pull out of it, which I don't know why, but you can pull out of a barrel from one of these cubes, but you can't pull it out from the indexer. So you got to make sure that if it's, you've got to have a cube to really be able to access it. You've got to have one of these crystal cubes. That's the only way to access anything in a barrel from a Corporea network, which kind of sucks. I don't know how this can do it, but this can't. That doesn't make sense to me. But it's weird. You can, like I said, you can pull it out of there. I did it in a test world just to see what it would connect to and what it wouldn't connect to. And you can pull out of a barrel with it, but you cannot with like the indexer, which is weird. But I mean, if you have something that you use a lot of, it happens to be in a barrel, then that'd be a real easy way to do it. You just set up one of these. Now they're not real cheap. These are a little bit more into Betania. If we look at Corporea, there we go. If we look at Corporea items, the sparks aren't that bad. It's the pixie dust. Of course, you do need to go to the nether, because you need blaze rods. Damn. Or some way of getting blaze powder. However you do that in your world. The master control spark requires that you have the elven portal, the Alfheim portal going. So, because you're going to need the dragon stones, and you're going to need the pixie dust. So for all these, you're going to need Alfheim. You'll have to have an Alfheim going, and you'll have to have been to the Ender, because the only way to get these Ender air bottles is with an empty bottle, and while in the end, you just click up in the air. That's the whole reason. Because I didn't even need to go to the end. There's no need for me to go to the end. I have an Enderman spawner. I can, get plenty of Ender pearls if I need them. I can set up mob traps that are more efficient here, which I'll show you here in a minute, than just a vanilla Ender trap. But these aren't too cheap. These, like I said, all require Alfheim. You got to have a lot of these sparks. So, each of these items requires not just the sparks that you need, but each of the items require sparks. So, the only one that requires, none of them require the Master Corporea spark to make, but they do require the Corporea sparks, which require sparks. So, you got to make a spark, then a Corporea spark for each one of these items, and then put in all the other stuff also. But really easy to set up. There's no configuration. As long as they're all the same color, they're connected. Just remember, you've got for it to be able to take commands from you, you've got to get close enough to see those little pinkish energy bursts there that kind of tell you, okay, now I can hear you. Get outside of that, it can't hear you, and it won't do anything. So let's do a quick sleep. I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be. Probably not too long. I really just want to kind of show off the Corporea network stuff. I'm not entirely done messing around with it, but I did want to show it off. It's pretty neat and useful, especially in a non-tech world where we don't really have any sort of indexing type network. But up here on the island, I wanted a kind of a quick way to get EMC, and I didn't want to have the big one over here running all the time. And if I ran that one like I've got this one hooked up over here, this would be insane. I was saying last time that they added dark matter pedestals to, if I can fly, dark matter pedestals to Project E. Now, this is something that I've been saying for a while that I hope they added in, because in the old EE, this was they're so handy. They're expensive, they're dark matter blocks and whatever to make these things. But you can take a lot of the items and put them on here, and they'll do stuff without you having to hold them. And what this one does is it speeds things up. Now what we have here is just and yes, the dimensions are screwed up. You don't have to text me. I realized it. But it's just, I wanted to see if this would actually work. We have a Blood Magic Teleposer down there. And there's another Teleposer. If you can see that kind of that hole way down there where my crosshairs are. Way down at the bottom of that hole, making sure that there is no place close to it where it can spawn. Buried is another Teleposer. And currently on that other Teleposer there, and that one is linked to this one, or this one is linked to that one. Well, this one will send whatever is on top of it down to that one, and when it's activated again, it'll bring it back to here. So down on that one is a blaze spawner. So if I come down here, I can turn it on. The reason this is so high and not down lower is I found that energy orb or experience orbs and like mobs were getting stuck on the red wire. So right now you can see it's, you know, it's spawning, but it's pretty slow. It's your typical spawner. We could sit here all day and wait for it to spawn. I don't have any sort of collection right now, and this one does require you to be within range. Like if we come back here, that thing's not going to work. You're too far away. But now, I believe it's Ender IO. I've never messed around with Ender IO. I am working on putting together kind of a strictly tech pack. It will have like no magic in it, no crops, no blood magic, no Betania, nothing. It should be just straight tech. And I think it's Ender IO that has one where you can take a vanilla spawner, put a device on it, and it just cranks out mobs. And that's kind of what this little thing accomplishes right here. Once we turn this on, it's going to speed that thing up. And you can see here now that it produces very, very quickly for us. You can sit here, and any mob you put in there, it's going to work this way. So it just depends what you want. I suppose if you made a really big one on this, you could actually have mob on demand. You know, maybe set up a teleposer for, you know, one of everything or something, and you can just like pick the button you want. If you have an Enderman spawner or a skeleton spawner or a spider spawner, which I just got a couple of, then you can just turn it on and let it run. And as long as you're within range, like I said, if you step back here, this thing is going to turn off because it is a vanilla spawner. It's just not, you're just not close enough anymore. And now we're here, we have the chemical chest with just a gem of internal density. It's set to diamond. So all the blaze rods and stuff that have been dropping in here. I was using zombies earlier. I needed some zombie heads. I just clicked that button for a second and got like way more than I wanted. But you can see how kind of effective this is, and it does have an on and off switch. When you push this button, like you can see that the spawner's up there right now, and when we click this, it's gone. It's completely gone. It's down on top of the other teleposer now, deep underground where nothing can spawn. There's nowhere for anything to spawn, so it's effectively shut off. Which is kind of really the only way you can shut off those darn blaze spawners, because they'll spawn not even in the higher light levels, which is annoying. But that's pretty neat, and that's the teleposer. And do we have time? No. I was going to go on because I want to add one more of these. This is the teleposer. This is kind of what gave me the idea to make that. This is our little transport booth over to our blood magic area, and I was thinking, well, you know, I heard that this thing will actually move anything on top of it. So, you know, would it move a spawner? And it does. So, I mean, that was the whole idea behind me making this little thing over here was this. But I do want to add another one of these to kind of take us over to our Betania area down here. I'm actually thinking I might hold off on this because I might rip this whole thing down and kind of do it another way. Because the problem with this one right here is the watch of flowing time on a dark matter pedestal down here screws things up. If we go over here, like it works fine on these the thermal lilies, because there's really no mechanical thing to it. Now if it gets close enough to, do I have that on again? Yeah, screwing everything up. If it's close enough to this device, it screws up the redstone for some reason. And because there's really no timing mechanics here, but I guess for whatever reason it screws this up, and coal just will stop dropping out of it after a little bit. So we can't use it there. And I was messing around over here with the Kikamuras, cake eating ones, because they really pop. Oops, they really pop out some really good mana. Like this one is completely full. Yeah, just from one of these things, we get quite a bit of, or well, three of the flowers, one cake, and just this little small setup really produces a lot of energy or mana. But when I initially set it up, I set it up over here, which put it in range of the watch flowing time that's below it, and the timer went berserk. I mean, this little timer here just went completely berserk, and would not fire off the redstone pulse that I needed to set off the block placer to put out the cake. It would do it like one time and then wouldn't do it again. And when you first put this thing down, it just go. I mean, it's like a machine gun going off. It's just click, 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 click. You know, it goes nuts because of the watch time flowing time speeding it up. So I kind of want to redo all this, and debating on how to do it so I can set it up where I can have an area where I can run, you know, a bunch of different ones that will use the speeding up mechanic, and then have another area where it won't touch it. So I'm debating on what I want to do with that. If, you know, do I want to build just like kind of a big temple construct over here, or, you know, just redo it over here, and then, you know, have a different section and have it all, you know, moving around. Because my idea behind this one is that I wouldn't have, you know, just a light show going on with beams being shot all over the place. But I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with that. Okay, well, that's going to be it. I wanted to show you guys the Corporea stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I suggest if you're running a pack similar to this with like no tech, that this is a really good option to kind of give you a way to access and get into your network, so you don't have to run down there and start looking through a bunch of chests. Because I mean, if you know you've got it in there, you can just call for it. So I hope this helps anybody out that is wondering how to do the Corporea stuff. And I appreciate you guys coming by, and I hope you liked what we're putting out there. And until next time, I will see y'all later.